Hello and happy new year, happy 2025. Welcome to day 2 of Uniko's January 2025 release introductions. Today we are kicking off this new year with some bling in the form of a brand new Ink Flip Stencil. Now, if you're new to Uniko, you might not have heard of our unique Ink Flip stencils that I created back, I think it was July 2023, and we started with a star. And originally it was just a 1-layer stencil that created a background and a negative of a star shape. If you go back into some of my previous videos, you will see the star and some of the other Ink Flip stencils in action. Now, after a couple of stencils, I expanded the design and created 2 layers where you got the background and then the focal point. And today I'm delighted to be introducing this lovely geometric gem. And as I was designing the stencil, I felt it needed a stamp set. I'll get to my samples in a second. Because I think sometimes you just need them accent sentiments, and this one was born from creating the stencil. It comes with this lovely font, which the main words are in, and then you'll notice that it has all these accent sentiments, and this accent sentiment that build the whole sentiment is the same font and size of our everyday sentiments. Here I have, just to reach the Christmas version, and there is everyday sentiments, everyday love, everyday spring, and they also feature in floral vines and doodle flowers, which adds so many mix and match opportunities to these sentiments. But I'm excited to introduce that today as well. So let's have a little look at a couple of the samples. These are on the blog, and then my last one is one that's actually in an upcoming issue of Simply Cards and Paper Crafts. I think off the top of my head it's in the shops around the 9th of January. But if you're a subscriber, you often get it a week before it actually hits the shops. And this stencil is featured in the magazine. So this is my New Year card. Hope your New Year shines. I used the gem. I tend to lean, since I've expanded these stencils and have this focal point feature, I do lean to using that bit a little bit more sometimes than the background, and they can be used together or both separately, as you'll see. So I love gems, I love sparkle, I love shine, and I love colour, and one thing I wanted to achieve is colour with this gem. So I used honeysuckle and marmalade for this pink layer, and then I used oceanside and fig for the other layer, and I blended them softly together to create another colour when they overlap, and I really enjoyed making this. I added a little bit of splatter from the starry watercolours, Ganzi Tambi starry watercolours, a little bit of splattering, which is unusual for me to add splatter, but I am getting into it a little bit more. And then I fancied a dark background for my next card, to sort of reflect the opacity of a diamond in a sense, and achieve this nice sort of clear look. And I used silver pigment ink through one layer, and then my favourite Stardust embossing powder. And then for when I flipped, I used Versamark and just clear gloss embossing powder, and it's created this lovely shine and sparkle. And then I just added the sentiment from the set. Now this is a peek at a card that actually comes in the magazine. Shh, don't tell anyone. And I just wanted to show how it could be used as a congratulations card, maybe someone's engagement or special anniversary. And again, I think this sentiment is from, I want to say Everyday Sentiments, but it could be Everyday Love. I can't remember off the top of my head. How bad is that? And again, I've added an embossed layer to add some sparkle and some Gansey Tambi starry watercolours again, but a lovely sort of aqua shades here. So I thought I was going to have a rainbow card to share with you, but I actually messed it up while I was creating it. So I thought I'll recreate it in today's video. So I went ahead and cut some card, my usual size, which is 10.5 by 14 centimeters, and I'm just going to mark the center as I usually do, because I do want this gem to be sort of in the center a little bit. There's no rules to say that you have to do it that way, but it's just me, my way of crafting. So I'm just using temporary adhesive here, and then I'm going to center the card just on my paper pad. This is a Stampin' Up paper grid paper pad, which I've worked on for a long time, and I just find it super useful. So you'll see on here that I've used a Sharpie just to mark the center on each side. They're all designed on the sort of same scale, so it always works out that the center is from these two inner points is 7.1 centimeters, just for future reference. And I'm just going to secure it down with some Scotch tape. That this one is still quite sticky, so I just put it on my hand just to take a little bit of the stick off so it doesn't rip my grid paper. And then I'm going to do it in a rainbow of colours. Now when you're doing rainbows, apologies for that, Alexa going off.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with
that. So when you are doing a rainbow of colours, normally when you do an ink and flip, so on this one, I'll bring this example back in, for example, I used an aqua shade for one layer, and then I flipped it, and then I did a grey shade, and then where the shapes overlap, it creates a different shade. So that's quite easy when you do two colours, but when you want to do a rainbow effect, which I was after, I'll actually bring the sample in that messed up. I just messed my stamping up here. I should have used my stamping platform. What you want to do is do a separate colour. Have your colours. So I've chosen my colours. I've got honeysuckle, poppy, marmalade, buttercup, sprout and oceanside. So I need 6 colours because there's 3 shapes, and then when you flip there'll be another 3. But what you want to do is on this first side you're going to miss 3 colours. So you're going to do pink, orange and then green, and then on the second side you'll fill in the gaps and you'll do red, yellow and aqua. So I'm just going to start off at the top here with the pink. Now you might want to just have a little bit of spare paper as a mask. I'm not sure where I put my paper. I did have a little pad to help me. This one will do. I'll just use the reverse side of this. So I'm just, see, it's quite close here, so I'm just gonna lay this piece of paper here just so it doesn't go into the other shape. It doesn't matter too much, but I like to, as you see, if something goes wrong and I'm not happy, it gets discarded and it frustrates me a little bit. I do have a bit of a perfectionist nature, I'm afraid. Sometimes it's good and sometimes it works against me and creates more work. So I'm just lightly, I'm not doing my colours too heavy, because I do want to see the colour sort of when it overlaps as such. So I'm doing it quite light today. So there's the pink, and now we're going to move to the orange. So in the past I've found it helpful to write my colours down, and I know which ones I'm missing out. If some of the backgrounds of the Ink and Flips have a few more shapes in them. This one's quite simple and only has 6 altogether. But I laid out my colours yesterday, ready to do the video in advance. But the weather yesterday was absolutely horrendous. It was grey and dark all day, and even with my sort of overhead lights, just made it quite dark and dingy and uninspiring. So I thought, why not, I'll just do my video today instead. And I'm glad I did, because the sun is shining today, which is nice. So I had everything prepared, ready. I say I'm prepared, I'm never prepared. I always think I'm going to be super organised for a new release and have everything done well in advance, and I never do. Something always crops up, but never mind, I'm here and I'm doing it. So there's the marmalade, and now I'm going to head to the sprout, and I'm just going to move that up the top there. Now I've chosen sprout over my usual parsley. I don't know why. I think because it's one of them greens that sits nicely from yellow into sort of aqua. And I think because I was favouring parsley so much, I decided to use a slightly different green. But I did do that background a while ago, and then, as I say, I went to finish the card and then messed it up. So I believe these were the colours I've used. We'll soon find out when I've finished and we match the two up. So again, I'm just going in quite lightly. If you do your colours too dark, when they overlap, you won't really see the overlap as such sometimes. It's nice to go in quite soft occasionally. It's just about playing about and having a go at what sort of look you want to achieve. So there's the first layer, and then all you do is you lift your stencil up. Now this is a super easy one to line up when you flip it over. So I'm just going to give it a quick, I've got a slightly damp cloth here next to me, and I'm just rubbing it over just to clean off the ink, because you don't want it to transfer when you flip it over. Some people have struggled with this concept, but once you see it, once you try it a couple of times, it is a lot easier to understand. So we had it this way, and then what you're going to do is you're literally just going to flip it over to the side, and then you'll see that this gem shape will be masked off in the middle. So you're just going to layer it up and secure it down. I'm just checking my marks as well. And then you're just going to secure it down with your tape. And then you're going to fill it in with the colours that you missed. So for me, it's the poppy, the buttercup, and the Oceanside. And then when you overlap the colours, you'll get a slightly different shade. Which makes for a beautiful rainbow effect. I'm just going to put my piece of paper back here again. I remembered before I got too carried away. So you'll see here that where the colours overlap, where the colour is the original, and it just adds interest to this background. You could go in and add sparkle afterwards, like I've shown. You can emboss through these stencils. There's so many options. You can use pastes. The only thing I recommend if you're using pastes, pastes are quite thick and it raises up the stencil. So if you were going to use paste through it, I recommend only doing it on one side, because when you flip and then do paste through again, it'll likely seep underneath. I have tried it and it is a little bit trickier. And I wasn't wholly pleased with the result when I did it that way. So now I'm going in with the buttercup. And I think this is the one that I need to re-ink. So I'll just bring my larger pad out. It's one of my jobs to go through and re-ink all my pads. I had a good sort out in the studio the other day, had a real good tidy up and reorganize. There's still a bit to do, but getting there. Just when there's a new release, or like in December I did a series of videos, 12 days of Christmas, and it all gets a little bit chaotic, and then I need a big tidy up and sort out. So one of my jobs today is take the Christmas decorations down and tidy up and organise a bit more. I got started the other day, but like most things, I get distracted and didn't finish. My husband's been ill over Christmas, so I didn't want to hassle him too much to help. And then the last colour is the Oceanside, and I'm just going to go over this last shape to complete the gem. I think my stencil has moved slightly, but it should be fine. It'll be fine. And I love this colour. I love how it adds this nice purple here and a slightly different green tinge here. And it will reveal the rainbow like so. So then when you lift it off, it will reveal this gem shape here. And then you could go in, so you could leave it like this, add your sentiment, do whatever you like. You could easily cut this shape out using a craft knife and a ruler if you wanted to make a shaker card, for example. But then if you wanted to use both layers together, the gem fits inside like so. And then the concept is exactly the same again, where you are going to secure it down with your tape. Now normally I do mine raised up, so I do it on a separate piece of card and then fussy cut it out and then adhere it with foam tape. I do that a lot because I like adding a little bit of dimension. So for example, that is what I did on this one, but I want to show you how the star does fit inside. Now I've chosen 2 shades of grey from Alt New. I can't remember which collection. It's either Gentleman's Grey or I can't remember the name of the other one. I apologise. I should write it down. And so I'm just using the 2 colours here, and I'm going to go in fairly lightly with these greys. I want it to be seen, but I don't want it to be too powerful. And I might eventually go in with some paste or something as well. I'll see if I can grab some paste just to add a little bit of sparkle. So then when you reveal it, you see that shape, and it's the same concept as the rainbow layer. You want to take it off, you want to give it a little bit of a clean. Just make sure you dry it off. I usually have a tea towel, but I did put it in the wash the other day. So I had it this way, so just check, and then you're going to flip it and fill in the spaces. Now there is a little bit of a gap in between each of these shapes. I've left it so there is a little bit of a gap. Obviously you can take your time to be a little bit, make sure you're happy with it. I'll just bring in the other sample. So on this one you can see there is a white gap in between each of the shapes that make up the gem. It's probably about 1 millimetre, maybe 1 millimetre and a bit. So I'm just going in with a slightly darker shade. There's no rules. You could just do it all the same shade. This is entirely up to you, how the colours you use, the techniques you use. There's so many options. You could even do, you could ink one layer and then you could dry emboss the other layer so it's slightly raised up, and then you could add your colour or your paste or whatever just to give it a little bit of dimension. Obviously if you wouldn't be able to dry emboss both sides, because if you put it in through then you'd flatten the previous bit, but you could add a little bit of dimension if you wanted to with dry embossing with the other way. So I've left it quite subtle there. I have some lovely pastes. See if I can open the lids though, that's the only thing, because they do get stuck now and again. This one's opened. So this it's like gold dust, this one. Everyone was after this a few years ago. Nouveau Glimmer Paste, and it's Moonstone. So it dries clear but with a beautiful sparkle. And I absolutely love it. It just adds a really nice finish. I have some beautiful ones, Stella pastes they're called, from Funky Fossil here in the UK. Sarah has got some lovely colours and pastes, and I believe her sale is still on today, so I think she's got 20% off various things. The only thing I say using paste through these is don't let it dry on your stencil, otherwise it's a complete nightmare to get off. So usually I wash them pretty much straight away. So this will take a little bit of the colour away, but when it dries clear, you should still see some of the colour. I haven't put a lot on my little spatula, and I'm just going over until I'm happy that I've got a nice smooth effect across the stencil. Maybe I should have done the paste last, but hey ho, here's me just doing the video as I go along and changing my mind. But there we go. The beauty of crafting, isn't it? So there you can see the paste. I'm just wiping my stencil a little bit just so the paste doesn't dry on it. And then we're going to add one of the sentiments from the set. Now I've got paste all over my hand from doing that. But never mind. Nothing like a bit of glitter and sparkle. You see I've got a lovely sparkly hand. Never mind. Right, I'm going to use my stamping platform this time to do my sentiment. I didn't do that last time, and that was probably my mistake. I was trying to be quick. But never mind. I've managed to come up and do this video. So in the sentiment set, it has these little lines here that sort of add that sort of emphasize the shine of the diamond. So I'm just going to stamp one here in this top corner, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it in black because I do want it to stand out a little bit from the colour. So I'm using the Nectarine ink Versifying Clair, and I'm just going to gently press down. And with the stamps being a little bit thicker, my stamping platform isn't going into the paste, which is quite good. So I just did it a couple of times there just to make sure I got a nice impression. Usually I clean off, but I've got paste all over my cloth now, so I'm just going to peel it off and just wipe my finger so I don't get any black. Now I was going to use the bright and then the smaller shine sentiment, so I'm going to use this in the middle, and then I have shine in this smaller sentiment. Now you could use these for encouragement cards. There's all sorts really these could be used for. So I'm just trying to center this card. So I'm looking at the edge of this loopy B and then this loop at the end of the G, just so I feel it's balanced. It's hard when it's a fancy font like this, but I usually look at the two ends and eyeball it to see if it's lined up. And then you can use your lines on the stamping platform. It's a little bit wonky, but it's fine. It's a difficult one because it's a fancy font. I do like a good font. And again, I'm just going to use my black ink. Might need to stamp a couple of times to get a nice impression. I'm going to do it one more time. And you could emboss the sentiments as well if you wanted to, for a little bit more sparkle and shine. got a little bit of paste there. I can see where it has dipped in just a little bit. So I should, in hindsight, have stamped my sentiment and stuff first, then gone back and added the glitter paste. But hey ho, we live and we learn from our creativity. And as I say, I wasn't originally going to add paste, but hey ho, when creative inspiration strikes, we just have to go with it. And there we have it, our finished card using the brand new Ink and Flip geometric gem, layering gem. So this stencil, like all the products we're introducing that we introduced yesterday and for the rest of the week, will be available on Sunday at 9 AM GMT time here in the UK. Thank you for joining me today on this New Year's Day. I hope you have a lovely restful day planned. I'm going to be crafting a bit, tidying a bit, sorting a bit, and just enjoying the slower pace of life. So I wish you a happy, healthy and creative new year, and I will see you again tomorrow here on YouTube. Thanks for joining me today. Bye for now.